Hi y'all, this is Larry from Deep South Texas, and today we're going to make some homemade bagels. Now here in Deep South Texas, getting good bagels is like getting good baguettes. You have to go a long way to find them, and that's probably all the way to San Antonio, 4 hours north of here. So if you like them, learning how to make them is a very good idea. And the bagels we're going to make today are New York style bagels. They are excellent. You need to try this. Your family will just love you. So to make these bagels, the night before I made a sponge or a Poolish. And that had 1 cup of bread flour, 1 cup of water, and 1 teaspoon of yeast. So we want to make bagels tomorrow. So the first thing we do is the night before, tonight, just before you go to bed, you make a sponge or a Poolish. It's real simple and fast, but you don't want to skip it because it really helps the flavor of the bread. So I have here 1 cup of bread flour. Put that in the bowl. 1 teaspoon of yeast. Put that in, mix that up, and 1 cup of water. And so we just mix that up, get all that flour and yeast incorporated in the water. And then we're going to cover that with plastic wrap and let it set at room temperature until the morning. So we'll see you in the morning. So here are the ingredients. This is the Poolish we made last night. To that, we're going to add another 1/2 cup of water, and then we have 3 more cups of bread flour, a tablespoon of brown sugar, another 1 3/4 teaspoons of dry yeast, 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt, and for when we boil the bagels, we have a 1/2 cup or 1/4 cup of honey, and then we will be doing a wash of the bagels with egg white. We have an egg for that, and then I have some everything bagel seasoning. You can make your own, but this is a little bit easier. So let's get started. To the sponge, we're going to add that 1/2 cup of water, the brown sugar, the yeast, and the salt. And then we're going to put that in the stand mixer and mix that up a little bit. This doesn't get too noisy, but let's get started. So we've got that mixed a little bit. Now we're going to start adding some more flour. Now we're going to remove this mixer tool and put on the dough hook. Maybe we're going to put the dough hook on. There we go. Now, I haven't quite used all the flour yet, and I may not use it all. It's the bagel dough is a real stiff dough, and in fact, the stand mixer can't handle it all together. We'll have to do some hand kneading in a little bit. But let's get it going with the dough hook. And add in a little more flour anyway. And we'll let this continue until the stand mixer can't handle it anymore. So it's time to move this dough over to a lightly floured breadboard and do a little bit of hand kneading. So we're going to take a little bit of that leftover flour, put it on our board here, flour up our hands pretty well too. And begin kneading this dough. And we'll do this for about 5 minutes, I suppose, until I get tired of doing it. Well, I got tired of kneading after about 3 minutes, but I think we're ready. Now, bagel dough is much stiffer than the normal bread dough you're probably used to. So it's pretty dense, pretty stiff. I've taken our mixing bowl, cleaned it up, and then oiled it. I use butter. It's a personal failing of mine. Any kind of oil will work. So now we put the dough into the bowl, roll it around to get it covered with oil, and then we're going to put the plastic wrap back on it and let it set for 60 to 90 minutes until it doubles in size. Well, it's been an hour and a half and our dough has definitely risen, so let's punch it down. And put it on this working surface here. Now, this recipe makes 8 bagels. So we want to divide this dough as evenly as possible into 8 pieces. You could weigh this if you were really worried about the size, but you know, every bagel is going to look a little different anyway, so no big deal. Okay, there they are. Now, take each piece and roll it up into a ball. And then start turning it under. Try to get kind of a smooth surface. Pinching it at the bottom. And then just keep doing that. And now start pushing your thumbs through the bottom, or your fingers, and make a little hole. And then stretch that hole out. You want it at least 1.5 inches in diameter, the hole. At this point, it's going to close up quite a bit during the cooking process. Well, that's what I have, and we're going to put that on a parchment lined baking sheet. Let's do one more. And you want to try to get the bagel as even as possible, just for appearance's sake. And that one's done. I'll finish up the rest off camera and then get back to you. And there they are. We'll just cover these with a towel, and then we'll get our oven preheating to 425, and we'll get our water starting to boil. So first we boil the bagels for 1 minute on each side, and then we'll sprinkle some topping on and then put them in the oven. But let's get the oven preheating and the water boiling. Well, the water's boiling, and I'm going to turn it down a little bit. We don't want a real rapid boil when we have the bagels in. Now I'm going to add, this is about 3 quarts of water, and I'm going to add 1/4 cup of honey. And mix that in. And now we put the bagels in. I can do 4 at a time in this pan, and we cook them, boil them for 1 minute, and then flip them over. And continue for another minute. Now I'm going to put them on a rack here to dry out just a little bit. And let's put in the next 4. Okay, these are ready to flip. And they're done. Now we're going to brush them with an egg white mixture. This is 1 egg white with 1 tablespoon of water mixed up. And we're just going to brush the bagels with this. It helps the seasoning stick on and gives them a little bit more color, I think, as well. There, that's done. Now we're going to sprinkle them with our everything bagel seasoning. You can make your own of this if you want. This particular brand is a little bit salty. You might be a little bit too salty, but there's lots of recipes for making this on the internet. It's pretty easy. And now let's move them back onto our parchment cookie sheets here and get them in the oven. You don't want them touching. They're looking good. So we're going to bake these for about 20 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I have them on 2 pans, one on top of another, so about halfway through I'll rotate each of the pans 180 degrees and move the top one to the bottom rack and the bottom one to the top rack. We'll see you when they come out. And the bagels are done. They look pretty good to me. Now let's get them moved over to the cooling rack. They need to cool down for 20 minutes. Well, they look good enough to eat, but we need to wait a little bit till they cool down. I can hardly wait. Well, it's time to try one of these bagels. Just look at that. There's the bottom. Beautifully done. I bet it's going to be great. All right. And we're going to put on some of the cream cheese that I made the other day. I did a video on that, and I'm going to link it right up here. Cream cheese with garlic and chives for our homemade cream cheese for our homemade bagels. What do you think? I think it's going to be great. Nice and chewy, the way a bagel is supposed to be. It's very good, very good. I really recommend you give these a try. It's not a lot of work, and the results are absolutely amazing. As good as any bagel you can buy. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. And we'll see you again next time.